What if I told you that your silence could be louder than any scream and more devastating than any revenge? Welcome. Today, we're going to discuss 5 specific rules of strategic silence that will literally break a narcissist. You're about to discover the secrets many psychologists leave out, giving you the ultimate weapon against emotional manipulators. But let's start with a paradox. Most people think that ignoring someone just means not picking up the phone or turning your head when you see them. That is a fatal mistake, one that actually tethers you even closer to a toxic person. Real, soul-crushing silence works in a completely different way, and today I'm going to reveal that hidden truth. Make sure to watch until the end because the final rule will completely flip your perspective on how to walk away. But before we dive in, let me know in the comments, have you ever tried to ignore a manipulator? How did it turn out? Let's discuss your experience. Before we get to the rules, we need some context. We have to understand exactly who we're dealing with. The term narcissism comes from the Greek myth of Narcissus, the beautiful youth who fell in love with his own reflection and died from that unattainable obsession. But in modern psychology, the reality is much darker. Narcissistic personality disorder isn't just about loving yourself too much. It's a deep, hollow void that a person tries to fill by consuming others. The key concept here is narcissistic supply. To a narcissist, you are a resource, nothing more. They feed on your emotions, your attention, and your admiration. But they also feed on your fear, your pain, and your tears. It doesn't matter to them if the emotion is positive or negative. All that matters is that it's intense and that they are the cause of it. When you try to break things off using normal methods, you're playing their game. You argue, you cry, you hurl accusations, and in doing so, you keep the supply flowing. This is exactly why standard breakups don't work with them. To truly be free, you have to cut off their oxygen. You have to shut down the emotional pipeline completely. And the only way to do that is through strategic, total, and psychologically calculated silence. Let's break this down right from the start. The first rule is simple. Your silence must be completely devoid of emotion. There's a common misconception that punishing silence is the same thing as truly ignoring someone. Now, when you're silent out of spite, clenching your fists, sighing heavily, or slamming doors, you're still screaming your feelings. A narcissist reads these micro-expressions perfectly. They see the tension in your shoulders and realize they still control your emotional state. To them, this kind of silence is just another game. Think of a child trying to punish their parent by sulking in a corner. The parent knows the child is focused entirely on them, which means the connection remains unbroken. Real ignoring only begins where your emotions for that person end. It's a state of total indifference, where they aren't an enemy anymore, they're just a piece of furniture. Like an old, broken lamp you walk past every day without a second thought. You aren't trying to punish them, you've simply stopped investing your energy. This genuine indifference is the ultimate blow to a manipulator's fragile ego, because they can no longer see their own reflection in your eyes. Now let's move on to the second crucial part of this rule. To reach a state of true indifference, you need to understand how emotional vampirism actually works. Picture someone walking into a lavish buffet where the dishes are your emotional reactions. Over here, there's your joy. Over there, your anger. And right next to it, your need to explain yourself. As long as you're setting the table, the narcissist is feasting. If you stop serving up joy, but start offering portions of frustration and resentment, the buffet is still open, you've just changed the menu. Narcissists thrive on drama. Your goal is to shut down the restaurant for good. This means you must stop reacting to any provocation, no matter how absurd or unfair it feels. When you're accused of something you didn't do, your first instinct is to defend yourself and prove the truth. but that is exactly what they want from you. The second you start justifying your actions, you've already lost. Think of it like trying to argue with an answering machine. You can scream into the receiver all you want, but the recording isn't going to change. You need to become just as unreachable. The moment you stop defending yourself or trying to prove you're right, you strip them of their primary tool of control. Their words are left hanging in a vacuum, failing to hit their mark. And for a narcissist, that silence is the ultimate discomfort. The third part of our first rule focuses on your facial expressions and body language. Most people underestimate just how much they communicate without saying a word. Narcissists are master observers. They are constantly scanning you for the slightest sign of vulnerability. Rapid breathing, shifting eyes, crossed arms, or nervous fidgeting. These are dead giveaways of your inner tension. You might stay silent, but your body is screaming fear or resentment. To break this cycle, you need to master a professional-level poker face. Think of it like watching a toddler throw a tantrum in a store because they didn't get their way. You wouldn't take it personally or try to reason with them, would you? You'd just watch them with calm, detached patience, waiting for it to end. That is exactly the look you need to cultivate, a gaze free of judgment, emotion, or fear. Keep your face relaxed, your posture open, and your breathing steady. When a manipulator encounters this kind of calm, their usual patterns break down. They can't understand why their buttons no longer work, and that makes them feel like they are losing their grip on the entire situation. Wrapping up our discussion on emotional charge, let's dive into internal dialogues. This is where 90% of people trip up. You can maintain a perfect poker face and stop answering their calls. But if you're still locked in an endless mental argument with that person, the no contact rule isn't actually working. You're still pouring a massive amount of your life force into that void. You're mentally proving your point, crafting the perfect comebacks to their insults, and replaying every old hurt. That invisible tether is still very much intact. To truly break a narcissist, you have to evict them from your head. Let's debunk a myth. Time doesn't heal by itself. Redirecting your focus does. Think of it this way: your mind is an apartment, and the narcissist is a loud, toxic tenant who hasn't paid rent in months, but still occupies the master bedroom. Your job isn't to argue with them every day, it's to throw their stuff out on the sidewalk and change the locks. The second you catch yourself thinking about them, force your brain back to your own life. Do some mental math, plan your workday, or focus on your physical surroundings right here, right now. When you completely cut the power to their image inside you, it reflects on the outside in ways you wouldn't believe. They can literally sense it when the leash finally snaps. What does going no contact actually mean? Let's move on to rule number 2, total physical and digital silence. So many people make the mistake of leaving the door cracked just a tiny bit. You might block their number, but forget to unfollow them on social media or leave your email wide open. You tell yourself, it's fine, I won't even read the messages. But to a narcissist, even the smallest opening, a tiny crack in the window, is a sign that you're still in the game and that you're still waiting for them to show up. There's a common myth that partial ignoring offers some kind of protection. It doesn't. Partial ignoring is just an invitation to play a game of cat and mouse. Think of it like a fortress under siege. If you lock the main gates but leave the back door wide open, the enemy is still going to get in. You have to block them everywhere: messaging apps, social media, email, every single platform. You shouldn't see what they're doing, and they shouldn't see what you're doing. Any information they have about you is just fuel for their next manipulation. They will post provocative photos or cryptic status updates specifically to bait you. And the moment you see them, your emotional defenses will start to crack. That's why you need a solid wall on every single front. No loopholes, no exceptions. Moving deeper into digital silence, there is a massive trap waiting for you. The urge to check in, the temptation to see how he's doing without you. Spying on a narcissistic ex's social media, whether through a burner account or a friend's profile, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You are willingly dragging yourself back into the trauma. You're looking for proof that he's hurting, that he's miserable. No, let's be real. You are almost guaranteed to find the exact opposite, a polished, perfect image of a happy life. Narcissists are masters of curation. When you see that beaming smile in a photo with someone new, a wave of pain and self-doubt will hit you instantly. You'll start to wonder, maybe I was the problem all along. That is exactly the reaction he wants, even if he doesn't know for sure that you're watching. They live for that performance. Think of it this way. It's like constantly picking at an open wound with dirty hands and then wondering why it's still sore and infected. Your healing, and the kind of silence that truly breaks his power, only begins when you make a firm decision. You simply do not care. Whether he is happy or miserable, alive or dead, it doesn't matter. He exists in a parallel universe that no longer touches your reality. It's a difficult step to take, but it is the only way to find your freedom. Now let's talk about flying monkeys. This term, inspired by the Wizard of Oz, refers to people a narcissist uses as pawns to get to you. When you go no contact and build a wall, the manipulator starts working through third parties, mutual friends, family members, or colleagues. These people might approach you with seemingly innocent questions like, "What happened between you two?" Or, "He's so devastated, couldn't you just give him one more chance?" Sometimes they do the opposite and drop hurtful rumors just to see your reaction. The biggest myth is that you owe these people an explanation. You don't. Trying to justify your position to a flying monkey is just another way of feeding the narcissist's ego through a messenger. The moment you start explaining how much you've been hurt, that information goes straight back to them. To the narcissist, that's a victory. It proves they still have power over your emotions. The rule of total silence, both physical and digital, applies to these intermediaries as well. Think of it this way. If a mailman brings you a poisoned letter, you don't argue with the mailman, and you certainly don't open the mail. You simply refuse the delivery. You need to be firm and clear. I am no longer discussing this person. That topic is closed for good. If someone refuses to respect that boundary and keeps pushing, you may have to limit your contact with them too. Your peace of mind and your safety will always be more important than being polite. To wrap up this section on silence, we need to address physical boundaries. If you have the chance to eliminate accidental run-ins, take it. Switch up your routine, find a new favorite coffee shop, and stay away from places where you're likely to cross paths. This isn't a retreat, and it's certainly not a sign of weakness. Think of it as a quarantine during a severe outbreak. You wouldn't wander into an infectious disease ward just to prove how brave you are, right? The same logic applies here. If you do happen to run into them, your demeanor must be one of total detachment. You don't need to look away or run in a panic, but you absolutely do not engage. Look right through them as if they were a complete stranger or simply thin air. If eye contact is unavoidable, a brief, indifferent nod is plenty. Then keep moving without breaking your stride. For someone with an overinflated yet fragile ego, there is nothing more devastating than becoming invisible to someone they once considered their property. Your total lack of interest in their presence is a crushing blow to their sense of grandiosity, leaving them completely and utterly bewildered. That brings us to rule number 3, the rule for anyone who can't go strictly no contact. If you share children, run a business together, or have to see each other at work, you need a different strategy. This is where the grey rock method comes in. It's a technique that needs to become your primary shield. The core of grey rock is simple, but it requires serious discipline. You have to become the most boring, uninteresting person in the world. Let's clear up one common myth. Keeping things professional doesn't mean being rude. Rudeness is an emotion, and we are removing emotion from the equation entirely. You need to become like a literal grey rock on the side of the road. Think about it. Have you ever noticed a random pebble in the dust? Of course not. It doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you angry. It just exists, blending into the background. That is exactly how you need to appear to a narcissist. Your responses must be short, flat, and completely neutral. Yes. No. I'll think about it. Okay. Information received. Give zero details about your life. Ask no follow-up questions. Use no jokes and no sarcasm. If they try to provoke you by asking something personal like, "So are you still all alone?" you simply give a calm, and immediately pivot back to the facts. What time are you picking up the kids tomorrow? By doing this, you're starving them of a reaction. You are giving them absolutely nothing to use to start a conflict. Let's look at how to actually put the grey rock method into practice. The core secret is simple. Stick strictly to the facts. Think of it like a business news update or a dry weather forecast. There is no room for drama or emotion there. They just say, "Rain is expected today. The temperature is 60 degrees. That is exactly how you need to communicate with a manipulator. If you are discussing child support or visitation schedules, write your messages as if you're a lawyer drafting a formal report. "I will drop off the documents on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Please confirm receipt." That's it. No emojis, no hesitant phrasing, and no long-winded introductions. Narcissists hate facts because facts can't be twisted with emotion. They will try to bait you into a conversation about feelings, bring up the past, play the victim, or hurl accusations. Your job is to firmly ignore that noise and pull the conversation back to the matter at hand. A great example of this is interacting with a customer support bot. You can scream at the bot or type out insults, but it will just keep repeating, "Please provide your order number." Be that bot. This approach drives manipulators crazy, but it also strips them of the ability to keep playing their game. After all, it's no fun trying to play against a brick wall. When practicing the grey rock method, the most important thing is to take your personality out of the equation. Think about it. A narcissist knows exactly where you're vulnerable. They know your values, your passions, and your triggers, and they will aim right for those spots just to get a reaction. If you're an animal lover, they might tell a heartbreaking story to bait your empathy. If you take pride in your career, they'll find a way to belittle your success. To make grey rocking actually work, you have to become a blank slate. During these interactions, you are a person with no visible traits, no strong emotions, no defense of your beliefs. If they say something offensive or flat out wrong, resist the urge to argue. Forget the old saying that silence equals consent. Here, silence is your armor. Think of it like being stuck in a theater watching a terrible play. The actor on stage is overacting and talking nonsense, but you don't jump up to give them notes or tell them how to do their job. You just sit there, watch, and wait for the scene to end so you can head to the lobby. Let them have their solo performance. By giving neutral responses like, "I see," or "I hear your point," you shut down their attempts to pull you into the drama. You are physically present, but psychologically you're already gone. Here is what happens to a narcissist when you master the grey rock method. They begin to starve. We're talking about a raw, relentless emotional hunger. Think of it like a fire that's suddenly been deprived of oxygen. A flame cannot burn in a vacuum. It gasps, withers, and eventually flickers out. In that same way, a toxic person suffocates in the atmosphere of your calm indifference. At first, they won't believe their eyes. They'll think you're just playing a game and will likely double down, trying to provoke any reaction they can. But if you hold your ground, offering nothing but bland, boring responses day after day, they will inevitably lose interest. You are no longer a source of fuel. In the wild, a predator won't waste energy trying to sink its teeth into a stone when there is softer prey nearby. Narcissists always take the path of least resistance. Once they realize the well has run dry, they will move on to find a new, more reactive target. It might take some time, but your consistency is your guarantee of freedom. You are essentially pushing them out of your orbit without ever having to act out in aggression. It is the ultimate form of psychological self-defense. But you need to be ready for what comes next. Rule number 4 is all about preparing for what's known as an extinction burst, or more simply, narcissistic rage. There's a dangerous myth out there that if you just ignore a manipulator, they'll shrug their shoulders and walk away. That is a massive misconception. When a narcissist realizes they're losing control over you, their behavior becomes unpredictable and often terrifying. In psychology, we call this an extinction burst, a term originally used in animal training. If you've been reinforcing someone's behavior for a long time and then suddenly stop, they don't just quit right away, they double down. They become 100 times more intense before they finally give up. Think of it like a broken vending machine. You put your money in, hit the button, and nothing happens. Do you just walk away? No. You shake the machine, you bang on the glass, you mash every single button with twice the force. That is exactly how a narcissist reacts when you cut off their oxygen. They'll bombard you with calls from unknown numbers, send desperate emails professing their undying love, or show up at your front door. Or it could take a darker turn with vicious threats and insults. Your only job during this period is to stand your ground. Do not give in and do not let yourself be swayed, whether they're using the carrot or the stick. The extinction burst phase is often marked by a phenomenon known as pings. The term comes from the tech world, referring to a quick signal sent to check if a server is still online. In this context, a ping is a short, often meaningless message designed to see if you're still reachable and if you'll still react to their stimuli. It could be something seemingly casual like, "Hey, I just found that book of yours," or "Do you remember the name of that restaurant we went to last year?" It might even be a blank text or a random like on an old photo. It feels harmless enough, and you might feel the urge to give a polite reply. But make no mistake, to a narcissist, every response is a signal that the system is still live. It tells them you're still on the hook, and the vending machine is dispensing treats again. This restarts the entire cycle of abuse. Even a cold, distant reply is seen as a victory, giving them the green light to keep pushing. Here's a harsh but accurate analogy. Imagine you're trying to quit smoking. You've stayed clean for a month, but then you decide to take just one puff. That single puff wipes out all your progress and drags you right back into the addiction. When it comes to pings, there is only one rule: absolute, total silence. Any reaction at all, even an angry text telling them to leave you alone, is a win for them. Your silence needs to be as impenetrable as a bunker wall. When the hoovering and the sugary declarations of love fail to work, the extinction burst shifts into high gear, moving from manipulation to open aggression and a full-blown smear campaign. This is often the most psychologically brutal phase. The narcissist is now out to destroy your reputation. They will tell everyone you know that you are the unstable one, the crazy one, or the toxic one. They will flip the script, twisting every fact until they appear to be the innocent victim of your cruelty. This is where most people break. The urge to defend your name, to scream the truth from the rooftops, and to demand justice feels almost unbearable. But remember our golden rule: no emotions and no explanations. Here's a hard truth. The truth doesn't always win right away, and trying to defend yourself in a mud-slinging contest only gets you dirty. Think of it this way: if someone is throwing mud at you and you start catching it to throw it back, you both end up covered in filth. But if you simply step aside, the attacker is left with dirty hands while you stay clean. If people choose to believe the rumors without ever asking for your side of the story, they aren't your people. Let them walk away along with the narcissist. Your real friends will stay. In the end, your dignity and your silence will be the most powerful proof of your character.
You need to hold your ground through this storm. Remember, an extinction burst is only temporary. It has a beginning, a peak, and an eventual end. Think of it like a massive hurricane. You can't stop a hurricane with your bare hands. You just have to hunker down in a safe place, board up the windows and wait it out. Yes, the house might shake and the wind will howl, but sooner or later, the silence will return. A narcissist doesn't have an infinite supply of energy. When their tantrums, threats, love bombing, and gossip hit a wall of total indifference, they will inevitably burn out. This is the exact moment the manipulator breaks. They are used to the world bending to their will, accustomed to pulling strings and getting a reaction. But suddenly those strings are cut. To their fragile, artificial ego, this is a total catastrophe. They are forced to face a reality where they aren't all-powerful.
Your absolute resolve during this period is the final blow that shatters their hold on you. Don't give up when you're just 5 minutes away from victory. If you can weather this storm without giving them a single reaction, you will free yourself from their influence forever. They will finally learn that knocking on your door is a waste of time. Now we've reached the 5th rule, the most important one of all. This is the real game changer, a radical focus on yourself. The biggest mistake people make when they start ignoring a narcissist is the motivation behind it. They do it to punish them. They want to force them to realize their guilt, to make them come back on their knees begging for forgiveness, or simply to hurt them back. But that is a dangerous trap. If you are ignoring someone just to provoke a reaction, you are still emotionally tethered to them. You are still performing that toxic dance. You've just changed the steps. True silence, the kind that actually breaks their hold, isn't about them at all. It's about you. You aren't building a wall so your enemy will bash their head against it. You're building that wall so you can plant a beautiful garden inside and finally live in peace. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. The moment your focus moves from "how can I hurt them" to "how can I heal myself," the real magic happens. Your entire energy shifts. The narcissist can no longer feel your attachment, not even your anger. You become truly unreachable because your world no longer revolves around them. To pull off this radical shift in focus, you first need to clear the mental wreckage left behind. Toxic relationships are designed to strip away your self-esteem, blur your boundaries, and make you forget your own needs. You've become an expert at scanning your partner's moods and walking on eggshells just to avoid a fight. Now it's time to take all that mental energy and pour it back into your own recovery. Think of yourself as the CEO of a company that almost went bankrupt because of a crooked manager. You've fired that manager. That was your decision to go silent, but now you have to get the business back on its feet. Start with the basics, fix your sleep, eat well, pick up your old hobbies, and reconnect with people who actually care about you. Ask yourself one question 100 times a day. What do I want right now? Not how will he react or what will he think? Just, what do I need? A hot cup of tea? A long walk?
A mindless movie? Do it. Every small act of self-care is a brick in the foundation of your new, independent life, one that no manipulator will ever be able to reach again.
As you recover, you're going to face the heavy reality of trauma bonding. It's a literal chemical addiction. Your brain is hooked on the adrenaline and dopamine roller coaster the narcissist puts you on. That cycle of cruelty followed by intense love creates a powerful neural bond. Breaking it is painful. It feels like actual physical withdrawal. Let's debunk a major myth. If you're hurting without them, it doesn't mean it was a great love. It simply means your brain is craving its next fix. Think of it like someone detoxing from a hard drug. They go through agony, but they know that going back means destruction. You must treat your sudden waves of longing the exact same way. That isn't your heart talking, it's chemical withdrawal. Sit with these emotions, cry, journal, work with a therapist, but whatever you do, do not break no contact or the grey rock rule. Your only job is to outlast this adaptation period. Every day you spend focused on yourself, without that toxic hit, those old neural pathways will wither and new, healthy ones will begin to grow. At the end of this journey lies the ultimate reward and a narcissist's absolute worst nightmare. True, genuine indifference. Choosing to walk away isn't just a tactic. It's a bridge. It's how you leave victimhood behind and step into your freedom. Once you've moved through every stage, survived the storm, and poured all that energy back into your own life, a day will come. You'll hear their name or see their face and nothing. You won't feel a thing. No pain, no anger, not even nostalgia. Think of it like finding an old, stretched-out, ugly sweater in the back of a closet. You look at it with a sense of confusion, wondering, why did I ever wear this? And then you toss it away without a second thought. You aren't trying to ignore them anymore. You are simply living your life, and they no longer have a place in it. For a manipulator, this is the ultimate defeat. They can handle your hate. They can even thrive on your pain. But they cannot survive becoming irrelevant. To you, they are now a ghost, a closed chapter, a non-entity. By following these 5 rules, you aren't just breaking the narcissist's game. You are reclaiming your right to the peaceful, happy, and fulfilling life you truly deserve. And that brings us to the end. By now, you understand that going no contact isn't some petty, silent treatment or a game. It is a profound psychological process of protection and healing. We've explored why your emotional silence hits harder than any argument, how absolute stillness starves a manipulator of their power, and why the grey rock method is your ultimate shield when contact is unavoidable. You've learned how to stand your ground against narcissistic rage, and most importantly, why shifting the focus back to yourself is the only victory that truly matters. Realizing that your goal isn't to punish them but to save yourself is the turning point that breaks the cycle of abuse for good. Toxic people thrive on your light, but the moment you close that door, your energy finally begins to heal and warm you instead. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Your mental well-being is the most precious thing you own. If this resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future deep dives. Hit the like button to help the algorithm reach others who might be struggling right now. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which part of this process do you find the most difficult to put into practice? Share your thoughts. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.